Boomers are stuck in the workforce, with fewer of them year by year being able to hang the coat up, take the boots off, and retire. Actually having to work far more hours for far less pay than when they hopped onto the wheel of the rat race to begin with. And young adults have overall lost hope of retiring altogether, with none of them even really hopping onto the wheel of the rat race to begin with themselves. And if you personally feel like you relate to anything in this video, whether that's being a Gen Z or being a boomer yourself, or you just personally like content like this, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, opinions below, and subscribe to see my daily or per weekly uploads around here around 12 p.m. Central Time. Now let's begin.
Social Security retirement funds are running low and may be depleted by 2035. Wait, so you're saying I won't be receiving the money I'm currently paying into it when I'm retired? Well, that's not how it works. You see, the money you're currently contributing is actually funding other people's retirement. Okay, but what about my retirement? Well, that all depends on how many people are working and paying into it when you reach retirement age. Wait, hold on. So Social Security is just old people leeching off of young people.
Dun dun dun! The plot's getting deeper and thicker, to say the least.
Pretty much, but that's why we need people to start having more babies.
But how can people afford that? The system's about to crash, folks. It's all about to start fumbling in on itself. And honestly, it's really funny how people always say, or they always make fun of people who live off the system. So if you are retired, if you have ever known somebody who is retired, does that mean they're living off the system? Does that mean you can tell them, you're welcome for your Social Security checks, you're welcome for that? I don't know. And honestly, if it's ending soon, and if the retiring age is getting older and older, it was originally 60, 65, or 62, now it's 65, and it's going to be 70, 75. Well, is retirement even going to be possible? Because humans only live for so long. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, our health system is getting better. Our different accommodates, the things we're able to do for health is getting better. But at the same time, humans aren't really the life expectancy isn't increasing at that rapid of a rate compared to the retirement rate in the economic field and the financial system. So it's getting rough out here, folks.
So when you're old, you can leech off of them. No fucking way. But wait, there are solutions. We can either raise taxes on everyone but the rich, we could raise the retirement age so more of you will die before you can collect it, or, God, the US could take on more debt to cover it. Well, hey, you guys certainly don't mind taking on more debt when it comes to other countries' problems. Why not your own citizens? Or we could raise taxes and the retirement age. Why am I getting the feeling that you guys are just going to do that anyway? Because we most likely are.
Baby boomer.
And that's why people have a lackluster opinion on our current state of the government. Not just this current state of affairs, 2025, but even the past few years, past decade or two, especially the last 5 years. It seems as if nothing's really been playing out the way it's supposed to. The politicians aren't making people happy, and they're not really fooling people with the games of Rome that they were able to do for so long. The Colosseum games are no longer fooling the system. Nobody cares about American Idol winners. Nobody cares about the Grammy Awards. And all this stuff is just going to the wayside because the food in the fridge is getting slim, and nobody's having kids, which means people are not going to be able to retire, folks. So there's only a few options, as that guy laid out, and none of them seem great because they're probably going to choose the one that fucks over the citizens the most. Here comes the uproar.
Report that they are not going to retire. They actually want to go to work. They enjoy being there in a physical location, unlike others who would love to work remote. And that's why you're going to see it being more difficult for Gen X and millennials to move up within the organization, because you can't move up if baby boomers are at the top and they're not moving out.
That is the thing. The baby boomers who are in the workforce, especially if they've been in the companies for decades and decades and decades. The young folks like Gen Z and millennials like myself, we haven't even had the chance to be able to push ourselves that far up into a company, or climb up the ladder that high, suck off that many people. So it's not really possible. And if they're never going to leave, they're going to keep getting the highest raises, we are going to be broke forever, folks. They're going to be owning all the homes, owning all the top tier jobs, and when will boomers move on and retire? That's what this lady put a rant about.
When are the boomers going to retire so we can get full-time jobs?
Ooh-wee.
They're not. The two oldest people in my job are in their 60s, and within the past decade, they filed bankruptcy. So literally in their entire lifetime, they never learned how to get good with money. They only use their income for their expenses. And it doesn't matter how big their paycheck is. It could be $100,000 a month. They only learn to use their income for their expenses. So they are check to check every month. You need to not wait on boomers. You need to learn to use your income for savings, investing, and then expenses. That's the only way to give yourself a shred of freedom. Financial education is the key. So start living on less money right meow.
If you're 60,
That's a big reason why people are living in their cars, saying homeless is freedom, because if you can get out of your rent payment, you can opt out of your mortgage, and if you can find a way to be as comfortable as possible on the bare minimum necessities, the less as possible, you will be the most financially free, which is in reality, especially in America, that's what free means, is financially. So now we're going to get into if people are even going to be able to retire in the first place. And in the long run, if the word retire is going to be extinct, or is going to kind of get pushed off to the side, in like reality sense, not just the way it feels. Because like right now it feels like it's already been like retired. The word retired is going to be retired.
I hate to say it to you, you're not 60. Today, if you're 60, you're 40 years old because you're living to 85 years old. Stop thinking you're 60 years old. With all due respect, you are naive if you're a boomer.
My mom's like 60 something, in like the late 60s. She is, I should probably tell her she should be getting a job. She's been retired for almost a decade now, and she still has a lot more life to live. She should be committing to the society. She should be contributing to society, as far as Patrick Bet-David says.
At 60, thinking about retiring in 5 years. You ought to change your retirement plan to 12 years at 72. Not because, oh my gosh, that's so unfair. The government is so unfair. No, because you're going to live longer. And if you decide to retire at 65, you'll be broke at 79 years old.
That's not a necessarily bad point, because people do only save up a certain amount of money for a certain length of time. So if you don't have that much saved, it's not going to last as long, especially if you haven't had that much time for it to build interest. That is actually where the majority of your savings comes from, is the interest you have. It's been sitting in there to build up from. So if you don't have that, it actually might be a little bit lackluster your retirement. You might actually be living on rice and beans, the Dave Ramsey method, when you're retired. Either way, no matter what.
Miserable game plan. You're 60, you're going to 72. Have the conversation with your wife. Have the conversation with your husband. Go get a side gig. Do real estate. Go do insurance. Sell whatever people at your age are interested in, because that's your market.
A lot of boomers aren't retiring because they like going to work, and it's making it harder for Gen Xers and millennials to get promoted. According to a Pew Research Center study, almost 20% of Americans 65 and older are still working. That's about 11 million baby boomers and silent generation members. Speaking to Fortune, journalist Mark Walton said that because older generations have been so successful, they often feel like failures in retirement. And so for many of them, retirement just doesn't interest them. But for even more boomers, they simply can't afford to retire. A survey by Credit Karma found that 27% of those 59 or over have no retirement savings whatsoever, with many boomers relying on their children to...
Please let me know down below in the comments how old you are, what generation you're from, and if you have any savings for retirement. I feel like this isn't, I feel like if you're not comfortable, you don't have to, but I feel like this is a very good thing for people to grasp and concept, to hear other people's situations, because when I was growing up, it was taught not to talk about money, yada yada. I feel like the older we get, the more we're all struggling. It's like when your boss tells you not to talk about how much you get paid with your coworkers. Well, that's how you know who's getting fucked the most. So maybe it's time we stand up, revolt, and talk about our own situations, because we're all fucked. We're all struggling. Stop faking. We can't continue to keep up with the Joneses, because the Joneses aren't living like they say they are.
Support them in retirement, a topic we've covered before. And with so many boomers sticking it out in the workforce, it's making it harder for those coming up in the ranks to get promoted. Career strategist Kia Abdul believes that even though many young workers today don't really have any interest in climbing the career ladder, there still are many millennials and Gen Zers who do want to progress to managers or directors. But they can't because there's so many older workers camped out in those positions. It doesn't help, of course, that the American ethos around work says you should keep grinding right up until you kick the bucket. Still, for a lot of these boomers, staying in their jobs is a choice. But for the rest of us, by the time we reach that age, a lot of us probably won't have any other option.
And that's the thing, I mean, I've read a lot of your guys' comments. They say, for the boomers, retiring is a choice. Guys, for a lot of them, it's not a choice. They're in the same boat. So it seems as if it's not just a one-person show. It's not like a one-man gig. It's not like a one-man band. Doesn't matter which generation you're from. We're all struggling in our own type of way. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions regarding your current economic status. if you think financial freedom is real, especially for the future generations, if retirement will continue to be around, and if you think it's even possible for yourself, despite or depending on which generation you might be from. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I would love to know if you do like content like this. Feel free to like, comment your thoughts, opinions below, and subscribe to see my daily uploads around here around 12 p.m. Central Time every day, or multiple times per week. A huge shout out to everybody who supports this channel and all my content, especially over on Patreon, my channel memberships, and all the lovely folks who contribute, in every which way. Again, I appreciate you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one.